If you think there's a limit to the human ability to shamelessly copy highly successful movies and cartoons, we have to warn you that there is no such limit. A brutal example of this is the sinister version of Finding Nemo that was created in 2020, but with an extremely unusual name. The movie is simply called Finding Jesus. That's right, they took one of the greatest religious symbols in the history of humanity and used it to make one of the most shoddy copies of a famous animated film. Apart from the word finding in the title and the fact that the story is about lost fish in the ocean, the movie has no other resemblance to the Pixar classic released in 2003. He's surely not happy about them using his name in such a poorly made film. There's even a piece of sushi with a Japanese accent in the underwater world. Now that doesn't make any sense at all. This was just the first of 11 absurd copies of movies and cartoons we've gathered today to tell you about. And believe me, this list will surprise you. B-Movie versus Plan B. 2007 is quite a distant year, to be honest, but it was also the year when DreamWorks released one of its major productions with the intention of competing with Disney in the years to come. Something they are still trying to do today, and occasionally succeeding. Isn't that right, Puss in Boots? In 2007, DreamWorks released the movie B-Movie, which even had a decent result at the box office. And the result was so good that the movie didn't receive just one, but 2 copies. The first one has a creative name and is called Plan B. The animation leaves much to be desired, to the point that in some moments and scenes, the film can be quite scary, even though it's a children's movie. The film was also released in 2007, riding on the success of B-Movie, and surely many unsuspecting parents ended up showing the wrong film to their kids. We'll tell you about the second shoddy copy of B-Movie shortly, but first, let's talk about another sinister copy. Cars vs. Autobot. Another movie that is probably one of the most copied in history is Cars. In another one of our videos, we talked about a film called Cariños, but today we're going to talk about another film with a rather unusual name, Ki Che Rin Zong Dong Wan. But in the Western world, it's better known as Autobots. Released in 2015, this Chinese film is a clear copy of one of Disney's most successful franchises. The story revolves around 3 cars with artificial intelligence who discover that the most powerful thing driving humanity is, guess what? Friendship. Well, any resemblance to the Disney film is certainly not a mere coincidence. Knowing this, Disney sued the company that created the film and was compensated with $190,000. Fortunately for us, Disney's lawsuit prevented the release of the Autobots sequel that was supposed to come out in 2017. Thank you very much, Disney. We owe you one. A Bug's Life versus an Ant's Life. You're probably too young to remember, but in 1998, Pixar released one of its most fun films of all time, A Bug's Life. Telling the story of an ant colony trying to get rid of the grasshoppers stealing their food, the film is enjoyable from start to finish, even though its animation may be a bit outdated today. And as success attracts attention, in 1998, someone somewhere decided to create and name a film Ant Life. Not very original, is it? If A Bug's Life may have come slightly outdated over its more than 25 years of existence, Ant Life, the cheap imitation, was already outdated when it was released. So, it's needless to say that the animation is quite poor by today's standards. Certainly another shameless copy of a great animation. And, of course, we deserve your subscription too. Subscribe to the channel here to not miss our upcoming videos about animated films, cartoons, and much more. Ratatouille versus Ratatouing. In our other video, we talked about a Brazilian company called Toyland, specialized in creating copies of major animated films. And in 2007, they decided to create an extremely poorly made copy of Ratatouille, released in the same year. Named Ratatouille, this low-budget film is a bizarre imitation of one of Disney and Pixar's most popular films from the early 2000s. The story follows a rat named Marcel who runs a restaurant in the idyllic Rio de Janeiro and has to venture into the kitchen of the house he lives in every day to collect ingredients to create his delicious dishes. In fact, it's a South American version of Remy. The Simpsons, the Samsonades. With over 30 seasons, The Simpsons continues to be a favorite worldwide. And when I say worldwide, I mean all over the world. That's because the success of the Yellow family from Springfield was so immense that it gave rise to one of the clumsiest copies in human history, called The Samsonades, an extremely poorly animated cartoon made in Georgia, released in 2009. And no, we're not talking about Georgia, the US state, but the country neighboring Russia. The Samsonades try to resemble The Simpsons, but fail miserably. And the creator even had the audacity to claim that there was no plagiarism involved in this story. Surely, everyone in the family being yellow is just a simple coincidence, right? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Kung Fu Dino. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are globally famous, with several movies and animated series. It's almost impossible to find someone who has never watched them. But despite the Turtles being great at fighting, they couldn't defend themselves against an attempted plagiarism, and that's what happened with the cartoon Kung Fu Dino, which basically presents the same story with one key difference. Instead of mutant ninja turtles, the protagonists are dinosaurs skilled in kung fu. A subtle difference, but it doesn't hide the obvious copying inspiration when creating the animated show, right? But still, I occasionally wonder if the Ninja Turtles could defeat the kung fu dinosaurs. Madagascar vs. Life's a Jungle, Africa's Most Wanted. Madagascar was released in 2005 by DreamWorks, and the story revolves around 4 animals: Alex the lion, Marty the zebra, Melman the giraffe, and Gloria the hippopotamus. They end up in a transport box that lands in Madagascar, Africa, hence the film's name. There they meet the famous King Julian, the one with the catchy song. The movie was a box office hit and won over the audience with its humor, charismatic characters, and engaging soundtrack. But where there's success, there's obviously a copy. It emerged in 2012 and is called Life's a Jungle, Africa's Most Wanted. The story follows the life of Pip, a dog who lived in a mansion and ends up on a safari in Africa. Pip gets lost and befriends a fun giraffe named Freddy and a fearless zebra named Ruby. Despite having a slightly different story, it's clear that the B-grade film was heavily inspired by the success of Madagascar, and quality and originality were nowhere to be found in this case. B-Movie vs. Little Bee. Remember we mentioned that B-Movie had another copy? The name of this other imitation of the DreamWorks hit movie is Little Bee. Released in 2009, the film was also created by the same company that made the imitation of Ratatouille, Toyland. The 2 main characters are named Abelardo and Bellina, and they dream of making honey and defending their hive. Very creative, isn't it? Amid poorly crafted animations of extremely low quality and a story that manages to be even worse, Little Bee is one of those films that should be forgotten, or better yet, not even watched. If you watch it and then don't like it, don't say we didn't warn you. The Secret Life of Pets versus The Funny World of Pets 2. In 2018, the sequel to the film The Funny World of Pets was released, but honestly, the name is the highlight of the comedy here. The movie promises to deliver scenes where pets gather and talk about their experiences as pets while enjoying funny videos of other animals. It promised everything, delivered nothing, and even had a sequel. Check out this video. The film is a poorly made copy of The Secret Life of Pets. The Hunchback of Notre Dame versus The Secret of the Hunchback. The Hunchback of Notre Dame is simply the biggest Disney classic of the 90s. Released in 1996, the animation tells the story of Quasimodo, a hunchback who lives in the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. The poor boy falls in love with the gypsy Esmeralda and saves her from his adoptive father, the terrible Judge Frollo. The detail is that in the exact same year of 1996, The Secret of the Hunchback was also released, where, guess what, Quasimodo falls in love with the gypsy Esmeralda and saves her again, but this time from a cruel sheriff. In both films, Quasimodo is the hero and doesn't end up with the girl in the end. Disney's film is extremely well crafted, while the second film has poor animation and a very unfinished story, unfortunately. Those were the 11 clumsiest copies of movies and cartoons that we've gathered to show you today. And I'll tell you, watching these copies was really challenging. But we do everything to bring you the most interesting facts about movies and cartoons for our subscribers. And more than that, we've even left some videos here at the end for you to choose and continue enjoying. Just pick one and click. Thanks!